Greetings, YouTube. This is episode 26 of TEW 2016 WWE Red vs. Blue. Now, those of you who are seeing this, who might have been following my previous episodes, yes, this is indeed a long time in between my videos. Just a long story short, just had some personal issues that I've been dealing with the last, like 5 months now. I think it was like right at the end of July was my last episode, and this is officially just turned to January 2nd of 2019. And I felt like, hey, what better way to get back into the series with the new year? Hopefully, I can, get back on track, get my mind focused, and get headed in the right direction, and I can continue with this series in my 1987 series. Even though I've been away, I never messed with my TEW files. I didn't delete them. So the series I have been doing prior is continuing from where I last left off. So you don't have to worry about constant restarts or anything like that. I remember for the most part what I've been doing storyline wise. Actually, during this time away, I've actually been thinking of more storylines and stuff in the future that I want to use in my series. It's just I haven't brought myself to actually take the time to play this game, or in fact, really any other game. I think I played like maybe, I played a little bit of WWE 2K19. I played maybe a couple other games briefly, but for the most part, I have not done much of anything like game-wise. So, yeah, it's been a long. Actually, it's been a long, if we want to be honest, a long life. But enough about my boo-hooing and anything like that. Let's get started and what y'all came to see. Hopefully, these last 5 months I didn't, run any of you off, and that now that you see my video is up, you will continue to watch it, and hopefully, I will continue to keep pumping out content. With that being said, today's episode is actually the first ever Raw branded pay-per-view for the series, which is Fall Brawl, which, if you don't remember, it was a WCW pay-per-view a long time ago. And I felt, hey, what better way to reintroduce that pay-per-view concept than right now with the brand split, because we need more pay-per-views, because much like in real life up until earlier, like last year, the split pay-per-views, and I don't really like Roadblock, End of the Line, like crap like that. I want to use a bunch of old WCW pay-per-view names to help pad out the separate brand only, brand exclusive pay-per-view, so look for those in the future. But with that being said, let's get to our show, and the show is being held in front of 18,000 people at the Thomas and Mack Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. In the pre-show, in a bout that had subpar wrestling and little heat, the Lucha Dragons defeated the Vaudevillains in 8:58 when Kalisto defeated Aiden English by pinfall with a Salida del Sol. Simon Gotch had an in-ring performance at 51, Aiden English 48, Kalisto 53, and Sin Cara 51. And the match got a 54 C- rating. Not too bad there. And we're going to change Sin Cara's gimmick to a luchador. And that got it above average. And Kalisto into a luchador. And that got it very good. So that's good to see. And we move on to our final pre-show match and about that had subpar wrestling, Little Heat. Becky Lynch defeated Tamina Snuka in 7:48 by submission with a disarm her. Tamina Snuka had an in-ring performance of 38, and Becky Lynch had an in-ring performance of 59. I'm not sure why Charlotte Flair is at ringside. I have to look at that. Probably for whatever reason I put her with Tamina Snuka, but I think I'm gonna take a look after this is done and remove that because there's no need for Charlotte to be at ringside during this. And no worker improvements. 55C minus isn't a bad rating considering Tamina Snuka is pretty terrible. So, can't be, fussed about that rating. And the opening match of the show is in a bout that had decent wrestling but didn't have much heat. Bad News Barrett defeated Jack Swagger in 12:35 by pinfall with a bull hammer. Jack Swagger had an in-ring performance of 54. Bad News Barrett had an in-ring performance of 58. No worker improvements. The match got a 61C rating. Decent opener. I just wanted to get Bad News Barrett a win because if you remember so far in the series, he hasn't had a lot of victories. Him and Damian Sandow has usually been the guys in the Forgotten stable that have been taking pinfalls in matches because they're not those two aren't the ones I really have long-term plans for, like in a major, in a like any major plans for them in the future. I mean, I like Barrett, Sandow's okay, but as of right now, I don't have much for them. But I wanted to at least get Barrett a win on a pay-per-view because if you remember, John Cena was injured, a couple weeks back in Game Time, and he's the Universal Champion, and he's missing the show, and because of that, I had to rearrange the card a bit. The main event was going to be John Cena against Drew McIntyre for the Universal Championship, but because of Cena's injury, I had to kind of rework the card. So the card, I don't think is going to be that great because a lot of the matches are going to be filler, and the Raw roster isn't, does have a lot of depth at the moment. I just got to build up people, and throughout the next number of months, I'll probably call up some people from NXT. It's just one of those things where I don't want to do it all at once because that just seems like overkill. It's kind of like you don't want to do too much at one time because then it kind of devalues everything. So I'm going to sprinkle these in over time. So, number of weeks back in Game Time, Red Dragon debuted from NXT. They weren't there that long, but I needed tag teams like quickly, and that's why I debuted them. And I'm going to debut more people over the coming weeks and the coming months, both on Raw and SmackDown. So yeah, that's the opening match, and then we go on to our next segment. We see Sheamus backstage, and he's just walking backstage, and he comes across Christian, the general manager of Raw, and Christian's like, Sheamus, I know you've got an issue with Cesaro, and quite frankly, over the last number of weeks, you have been getting involved with Cesaro's business way too much. He's got a big United States Championship match tonight against Rusev. So, what I'm going to say to you, Sheamus, is to not get involved in the match for the United States Championship tonight, because if you do, you will be fired from Monday Night Raw. And not just Monday Night Raw, but WWE entirely. That means, if you get involved, cost Cesaro the title, then you will be fired from WWE, not just Monday Night Raw. So this isn't your ticket out of Monday Night Raw so you can go on SmackDown. This would mean you're gone completely. So basically, Christian's saying don't get involved or you're gone. And that segment got a 68 C+ rating. And our next bout, in a bout that had subpar wrestling and little heat, Red Dragon defeated Breezango in 9:04 when Kyle O'Reilly defeated Fandango by pinfall with a Chasing the Dragon, and Red Dragon makes defense number 2 of their WWE Raw Tag Team titles. And Tyler Breeze had an in-ring performance of 53, Fandango 48, Bobby Fish 45, and Kyle O'Reilly 53. The match got a 56 C- rating. Fandango is improving his performance skills, and let's see gimmick changes. Fandango goes from dancer to detective, so, fashion please. And that got an above average. Next segment, a 43D rating. After the match, Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly are celebrating their victory, and Kyle O'Reilly gets on the mic and they proclaim themselves the best tag team in the world. And because they're, fighting champions and they're, such good people, that starting tomorrow night on Monday Night Raw, they will be issuing open challenges each week to a team from that local area. So basically, tomorrow night on Raw, wherever, Raw is being held on Raw, they will offer a tag team title shot to a team that's from that area. Doesn't matter who it is. It could be, a team from the Independents. It could be a team from NXT. It could be, a team on Monday Night Raw, as long as they're from that area that they're wrestling at that particular night. So that's just a hype for a future storyline there. And our next bout, and a decent bout, Bully Ray defeated the Big Show in 14:25 by pinfall by using underhand tactics, which I basically envisioned it as Bully Ray knocked out the Big Show with his chain necklace. And Bully Ray got the victory with that, and the match got a 61 C rating. Bully Ray had an in-ring performance of 56, Big Show 59, no worker improvements. So that was just a way to give Bully Ray a pinfall victory over the Big Show without, making the Big Show look weak or anything. Of course, Bully Ray is going to use a cheap shot to get that victory. And our next segment, Seth Rollins is, doing a backstage interview, and he's basically saying how tonight he may be teaming up with Finn Balor to take on Drew McIntyre and Ryback in the main event. However, he has still not forgotten about Triple H and what Triple H did to him at SummerSlam, and that he's still waiting for Triple H to show some guts and to show up and confront him and explain why Triple H betrayed him at SummerSlam. So basically, Seth Rollins just saying, hey, I may be facing someone else tonight, but I still focused on Triple H and, still wanting Triple H, in the ring. So that segment got an 83B+ rating, which is a pretty good rating there. We move on. In a poor match, Braun Strowman defeated Zack Ryder in 8:25 by pinfall with a running power slam. Zack Ryder had an in-ring performance of 45, Braun Strowman 46. Zack Ryder is improving in performance skills, and the match got a 47D rating. Not great, but this was basically just a vehicle to get Braun Strowman over. Next segment is a backstage interview with Natalya, hyping up her upcoming women's title match against Charlotte Flair, and Natalya is just basically saying, their families have a long history. Her Uncle Brett defeated, Charlotte's dad for the WWE Championship, 14 years ago, and she feels like it's her destiny to beat Ric Flair's daughter tonight to become the new Raw Women's Champion. So we got a gimmick change. Natalya from an old school face to family tradition. And that got a below average. Not great. That segment got a 45D rating. And then we followed up in a poor match. Charlotte Flair defeated Natalya in 11:02 by submission with a figure 8 leg lock. Charlotte Flair makes defense number 3 of her WWE Raw Women's title. Natalya had an in-ring performance of 49. Charlotte Flair 56. No worker improvements. The match got a 57 C- rating. So not too bad. It could have been a little bit better, but the women are still a work in progress, so I can't be too fussed with that rating. We move on to the next segment, which is a video package promoting John Cena, which is basically saying, he might have been injured, but it was a temporary setback, and he should be back within the next month. And that got a 72 B- rating. Next segment, and a bout that had good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Rusev defeated Cesaro in 14:35 by pinfall with a jumping side kick, or the Machka kick, and Rusev makes defense number 8 of his WWE United States Championship. Cesaro had an in-ring performance of 69, Rusev 75. No worker improvements. Match got a 76 B- rating, and that's probably going to be the match of the night. Unless the main event does higher expectations in my mind, but Finn Balor isn't that over, and Ryback isn't that great in the ring, so I don't expect that to get higher than this match. So this match will probably be match of the night, but Rusev does retain the U.S. title. We go on to the next segment. Rusev and Lana are celebrating Rusev's title victory, and Rusev gets on the mic and he says he's, continuing his open challenges. He just made his 8th defense, and tomorrow night will be his 9th defense of the United States Championship, and it's going to be on and on and on until he breaks the record and becomes the longest reigning United States champion in WWE history. And that segment got a 64 C rating. Lana's not suited to her gimmick, so I might see about changing her gimmick up. Next segment, in a bout that had subpar wrestling and little heat, Damian Sandow defeated Darren Young in 8:34 by pinfall with a "You're welcome." And Damian Sandow had an in-ring performance of 57, Darren Young 38. No worker improvements. The match got a 53 C- rating. So yeah, this is one of those filler matches that I had told you about at the beginning of the episode, just to pad the show because of the changes I had to make to the card. And this just, same way with Barrett getting the win on the opener. This is just a way to get Sandow a victory to at least give him a little bit of momentum, because he's higher on the totem pole than Darren Young. So next segment, we get a backstage interview with Drew McIntyre and Ryback hyping up their main event against Seth Rollins and Finn Balor later on this evening. Basically, Drew saying that this match shouldn't be happening. It should be him and John Cena for the Universal Championship, but Cena, got hurt, and he uses that in quotes because he thinks, Cena is faking the injury to get out of facing him for the Universal Championship, because Cena knows that he can't beat Drew, and that if he did face Drew, Drew would beat him and become the Universal Champion, as that is his, destiny to become champion in the WWE, whether it be Universal Champion or WWE World Champion. He said, however, he's going to make an example. Him and Ryback are going to make examples out of Seth Rollins and Finn Balor. And he said after that, He'll be waiting for John Cena to either face him like a man or to forfeit the Universal Championship, and he will take over the mantle as top dog on the Raw brand. And then we go on to our main event. Oh, this actually did do better than Rusev and Cesaro, so hey, can't be mad about that. In a decent match, Drew McIntyre and Ryback defeated Seth Rollins and Finn Balor in 1937 when Drew McIntyre defeated Finn Balor by submission with an Iron Maiden. During the match, we also had Triple H distract Rollins. So basically, the faces are in control, and it gets to the point where Seth Rollins sees Triple H probably on the Titantron, and and Seth sees him, and he goes, basically leaves Finn Balor to himself as Seth goes to the back to try to find Triple H, which leads Finn Balor to getting defeated by McIntyre and Ryback. In terms of in-ring work, Seth Rollins was head and shoulders above everyone else. Ryback had an in-ring performance of 66, Drew McIntyre 56, Finn Balor 58, and Seth Rollins 80. No worker improvements, but the match got a 74 B-, so 1 point better than the Cesaro-Rusev match. It was close, but the main event did get match of the night, and that ends the show. And the show overall got a 72 B- rating. Bobby Fish was slightly overused, so say Red Dragon was slightly overused, but I guess whatever. So not too bad of a rating. It did lose its popularity in 41 regions, but I'm not too worried about that. But in the meantime, if you like the episode, make sure to thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, take care.